Hello, folks. How you doing today? I have not had a great day myself. Today, another episode of Knight venting about his pleasure with his generally comfortable life. So yeah, I don't know. Today was a tough day. Um, I worked. Worked yesterday and found out that the second there was only when I started working at this co-op I'm working at, there were two beautiful girls, beautiful young girls, I should say, that sort of captured my imagination, you could say. Um, they're both way too young for me, both in their mid 20s. Actually, one of them was 20 even. The other I thought was 26. Turns out she's 24. Either way, they were both too young for me, at least in the classical sense or what people expect. So, the first one I was infatuated with, and she never really expressed any interest in me whatsoever. Totally, I have a feeling she may be a lesbian. In fact, they're both at least uh, partially into girls at the very least. They're either bisexual or they're lesbian, both of them. Um, I don't know if both of them are like guys at all. You know, in the old days, the definition of lesbian used to be you only liked girls. That's how I thought lesbian was. But now it turns out that, like, when I'm reading, like 65% of self-proclaimed lesbians are actually sleeping with guys. So the word lesbian doesn't really mean what it used to mean, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, the first girl, who was 20, obviously very young for me, like, beyond young, and she was very driven, gorgeous girl, very driven. Not exactly, you know, I don't know. She wasn't a 10, but it was just the way she was. She was very driven, and she had a great voice. Just this great. Her voice was just enticing. Had kind of. I don't usually like girls with like a husk to their voice, but this girl's voice was just out of this world. Slightly husky. Um, and yeah, she was gorgeous, and I was blown away by her efficiency at work. She was very efficient. Could do my job twice as well as I could do it, and I had to skip all my breaks to get the amount of work done that this girl did, and she still was better at it than I was. Um, Turns out I'm just slow in general because a lot of people actually do work better than me. There's only a few people at work that were actually slower than me, so I guess I'm just really slower than everybody. But this girl was especially impressive in terms of her efficiency. Anyway, she never really showed any interest in me. There was really no logical reason to be attracted to her because we had very little in common. Um, Other than the fact she was smart. I always wanted a smart girl. I always wanted a girl who really was intelligent, because I considered myself to be somewhat intelligent, I guess. And I don't know. I find intelligence attractive. But so yeah, this girl was smart. AP student, 4.0 GPA. I ended up stalking her online, finding out she was a what's it called? Honor student. Maybe not a 4.0 GPA, but at least 3.97 or something. She was going places in life. I wanted to be a part of that. I thought maybe if I could, you know, if by some miracle we would get to know each other better, and eventually I'd have a shot that maybe I could somehow attach myself to her mindset and use it as a way to prove myself to myself. She has what it takes to get where she needs to go in life. But yeah, she was never interested in me at all. Probably because she could sense that I was the loser that I think I am. I don't have a lot of confidence. Also, she's very well could have been a pure lesbian. I know she's into girls, but I don't know if she was into guys at all. But she never showed any interest in me, and I actively creeped her out. I think she might have caught on to the fact that I was stalking her online because I used a junk Hotmail account to follow her via my junk Instagram account, which I only made for the purposes of stalking people that I never actually look at. It may as well not even be my account, but I do have a junk email account. I mean, not for stalking people. It's really just for looking at hot Instagram babes, is what it is. I'm not really stalking them. They're just, they're girls. There's a lot of hot girls on Instagram. I stopped doing that because I realized that it was just torture looking at all these hot girls that I was never going to talk to or see in person. But anyway, so yeah, I followed her on Instagram. I didn't realize at the time, that having used Instagram so little, that people on Instagram can see everyone that follows you, and I thought I would just be lost in the shuffle. But I think she realized I was following her, and she ended up deleting my account, or she was at a private account, so she added me as a viewer, and then after some time passed, she de-added me. She got rid of me, and I feel like she knew it was me somehow. The timing of it. She probably didn't be anybody new. She was probably wondering who it was. I bet she put two and two together. I don't know. It's possible she never really knew. But anyway, so yeah, I was obsessed with the idea of being with her someday, and there was never anything that suggested she was even remotely interested in me. And like I said, there was times when she seemed actually directly somewhat repelled by me. So I moved away from. I used to work with her in grocery, on the grocery team, and I moved away from the grocery team to try to put some space between myself and her, because I thought, well, maybe that wasn't really the reason I did it. I moved away for other reasons. I wanted to work part time, and I was tired of dealing with the struggles of the grocery department. There's some mismanagement going on there. But anyway, a lot of short staffing. I got tired of the short staffing. I got tired of my relationship with my shift leader. We didn't really. I don't know. I felt like I was getting bossed around, and I wasn't appreciated particularly. But anyway, so yeah, I left, and right after I left the grocery, she ended up actually leaving maybe a few weeks later. And that's it, she's gone forever. She lives, I think, in Williamsburg, or maybe she lives in, I don't know, she's going to UMass, so she probably moved back into the dorms as far as I could tell. I have no idea, but she's gone, I'll probably never see her again. So there goes one of my two hopes, It wasn't like it was a real hope, but it was a fun fantasy. I knew there was no chance of it going anywhere. But I thought, well, she gave me a reason to get into shape. I wanted to work out, be like, well, I'll improve my chances, That was part of the reason why I bought the weights that I did, and what motivated me to get into shape. And, I mean, on that front, it worked pretty well, I put on some muscle, and at least she was good motivation like that. But, for all the work I put in, for all the muscle I built, I never felt like she was interested in me one bit. It didn't make any difference. Didn't add to our dynamic at all. So that was always a silly fantasy, and now she's gone forever. If I see her again, it'll be in passing. I don't even know if she would say hello to me. She didn't even say goodbye the last day she left. She didn't even come and say, it was nice working with you, nothing like that. No, she was gone. She didn't care. That's how I know she couldn't give less a shit about me. She might have actually left because of me. Maybe she left because she felt uncomfortable, because she knew I liked her, and she didn't want to be in a scenario where she had to feel uncomfortable at work all the time, which would be even more depressing. But anyway. So yeah, she left, and then I was left with the other girl. So I was moving to customer service, and the other girl works in customer service, and I thought, well, maybe at least I'll get a chance to get to know this other girl. And over time, I did get to know this other girl. She was my shift leader. And it turned out that the more I got to know her, the less I found her attractive. She's still very pretty, good looking. But everything she says is stuff that I can't relate to. I thought she was a weed smoker, but she quit smoking weed. She apparently really likes to drink, which is a bad sign. I don't like I don't like big drinkers, really, generally. Especially not women. It's not a good look for women to be big drinkers. They tend to be kind of dumb. She said things like, beautiful people should never die. That's one thing she said one day. I was like, really? You think beautiful people who have all the advantages in life, they're the ones who should never die? You know, the beautiful people? It's kind of like, it came up in conversation, but it's just like, where is that, phrase? Then she told me the other day she was really wanting to watch Scooby Doo. And I was like, I can't stand Scooby Doo. It's one of the cartoons. I watched it a little while back in the old days when it was on, Nick at Night or whatever the hell they used to play. I forget what it was called. Maybe not TV. What is it called? TV Land? No, I don't, not TV Land. Adult Swim. That's right. I think they used to play. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't Adult Swim. I can't remember. But they used to play reruns of Scooby Doo, and I watched it here and there. But it was like there was always this. I'm sorry, I don't like Scooby Doo. This cheesy '70s vibe, and it's like I never liked any of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. They're just not that funny, and the animation kind of sucks. And they're cheesy. It's not for. I'm sorry, but Scooby Doo is not for the most intelligent people among us. Of course, I can't talk. I watched a lot of dumb shows for kids in the '90s. I mean, I think DuckTales is a cut above Scooby Doo ever was. DuckTales is a little more interesting with the storylines. Scooby Doo is the same lame storyline over and over again in different scenarios. It was like, and Scooby's like annoying and Shaggy's annoying and everyone's annoying. I don't know. I hate Scooby Doo. And she was all like, "Oh, I really want to watch Scooby Doo." Around, and I was just kind of like, no way to relate to this girl at all. And she said, I was like, I was talking with you, like to go hiking? No, she doesn't like hiking. She likes to go for long walks. All right, that's boring. And then I found out recently she has a terrible relationship with her mother and her father, especially her mother. So that's all bad news. Also, she said, she's had a lot of relationships. That's not a good sign as far as I'm concerned either, you know, for various reasons, but mostly because, well, I'm not going to go into detail, but I'd rather not have a girl who's been with a lot of people, I guess is all I'm saying. So it was kind of like, the more I got to know her, the more I realized that she wasn't what I thought she was, I guess. We're not compatible at all, her and I. And I think if I was a different person, unlike the first girl, this girl, I think, probably um, doesn't hate me the same way. She's not repulsed by me. I don't know if she actively thinks I'm attractive or not. I'm way old for her. Apparently, her dad's pretty old, so maybe, she likes older guys potentially. But this girl treats me nice, and it's just, as far as like how she acts with me, I have no problem with that. She tries to be nice, and I just think we're not, we don't. The other thing is that she didn't understand how to take 10% of a number. I like smart girls, and this girl didn't know how to take 10% of a number. I mean, that's like a basic skill. You've got to be able to take 10% of a number. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she does a somewhat challenging job, and she does it well. So she's not an idiot, but she's just not didn't intrigue me the way the first girl that had absolutely no interest in me did. Um, and I don't know if this girl is also at least a lesbian, maybe bi. I felt like early on she was trying to give me some hints that maybe she wanted me to hit on her potentially. But who the hell knows? I could be wrong. She could have just been being nice. Regardless, it was at least, even though I wasn't that attracted to her in terms of our compatibility, she was pretty to look at and pleasant enough, and I got to interact with her regularly, and it was nice for a while. But yesterday I find out she's leaving now. She's gotten a better job, and she's gone. And it's like, it shouldn't bother me that much because, hey, like I said, I wasn't really like thinking it was going to work. I was a lot older than her, obviously. I probably would have just been a fling for her. I don't think it was anything serious for her, even if she was interested, which I can't really tell if she was, but I know she didn't hate me at the very least. It might have been a possibility if I was a more sort of aggressive, if I'd gone after her, maybe I would have had a shot if I was a different guy. But now she's going to be gone, which leaves me with no girls that I'm particularly attracted to left at work. All the girls left are. There's some cute girls. They're okay, but none of them are quite the level that the first two girls were that are gone. And these two girls were like my only source of entertainment at work, you know. It was always like this idea, like, well, you know, if I look good today at work, and you never know, something might happen. We might get into a conversation, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, you know, it wasn't like I thought either of those relationships were probably going to go nowhere because we seemed highly incompatible as people. But at the same time, it was still fun to have the fantasy, you know. It was something to keep me entertained, something to make me feel like work wasn't just the same thing day in day out. You know, it was a wrinkle to keep things interesting, and now that wrinkle is gone. You know, or will be gone shortly. Both those girls are going to be gone, and there was only two of them in the store. How often does the store hire girls this pretty? Probably not too often, is my guess. We're not like us. We're not like a restaurant that needs to hire good-looking staff in order to keep patrons. You know, people will come and go regardless of who's there. You know, I'm sure it was more of a pure random chance thing than because they were like, oh, let's hire some hotties for the work. You know, so I mean, it's possible it could happen again as a random chance thing, but you know, in all likelihood, if it does happen, it won't be soon. So that's the first bummer part of it is that, you know, there's no more intrigue at work. I'm just going to be working with a bunch of people who are nice. It's not like I don't like the people I work with, but, you know, there's no excitement there. They're friendly people. I'm friendly. We all get along. You know, it's a good work environment generally, but there's nothing to get me excited about going to work anymore. Nothing to make my imagination run wild, you know. That's gone. It's going to be gone and as soon as this other girl is gone. So, you know, it's hitting me tough, you know. I went for a long number of years where I was kind of self-isolating at home, not really working, not really getting out much, being a hermit. Um, and at that point, I was really comfortable with the idea that I wasn't really going to interact with young, beautiful girls anymore. And then I had this job with these two beautiful girls, and I don't know. I guess it got my hopes up where there shouldn't have been any hopes, and now those hopes are again, you know, obliterated. You know, um, it's just tough. It's a come down, and even worse is that this girl who's leaving is a shift leader. Um, that would be my direct, sort of immediate superior. There's shift leader, and then there's assistant manager, and there's manager. You know, so you know this job is opening up, and I could try to go for the job. Um, it pays $2 more an hour. Not exciting at all. Um, it's better than, you know, it's not like I'm making a lot now, and won't be making a lot then, but I'll be making more, you know, and it would give me an opportunity to put me in a position to attempt to get a managerial job after that. But from what I hear from the managers, the assistant manager positions are not paying well, and they expect a lot from you. They want you to come in a lot, you know, they want you to work 50 hours a week or whatever, and it just seems like, you know, I'd have to go from part-time to full-time just to take this shift supervisor job, which is only, you know, a $2 step up and would leave me waiting for someone in management to leave or, you know, die, which I don't want, obviously, but, you know, it's like I'd be working go back to working 40 hours a week. I hated working 40 hours a week, you know. I mean, I'm working a job where it's not the worst thing for the world, but it's not anything to get excited about either. It's better than working for a supermarket, but you know, we're not saving the world here. We're just like slightly lessening the damage that humanity is doing, you know. I mean, it's better than a lot of jobs for the world, but it's still not good for the world. So, you know, I'm not that excited about the cause particularly, and you know, if I take this job, I mean, it would be a step towards being a manager, which would be an actual career. It's a career where you don't get paid a lot, and you have to, you know, You have to fire people. You have to be a boss. I don't know if I want to be a boss. I don't know if I want to be tough on people. I don't know if I want to scold people. I don't know if I even really want to boss people around. It's not really in my nature to do that. I could probably get the job because I'm a pretty good employee, and people think I would do well, according to some people I've talked to, I guess. But it's like, is the benefit of this job worth the extra effort I'm gonna have to put out? Going back to 40 hours a week, maybe even more than that, and getting paid a little bit less and having no life and not being having time to travel, and it's just it's like kind of like would be if I took this tried to get this job, and who knows if I'd even get it, but if I applied for it and got it, it would sort of be an acceptance that my life is going nowhere and this is all I have. It's like this desperation, comfort zone type of thing where I'm just going to be used and abused at their discretion, and I'll dangle the possibility of a managerial job over me into the foreseeable future. And even if I get that job, I'll probably be expendable at any point beyond that. You always see these stories about managers who've been with their business for 20, 30 years, and then they're just like, oh, we're downsizing, or we found someone new who will work for cheaper, that type of thing. It's like, where am I going with this? It's like, I don't know. I never saw myself as a grocery store manager, but I just feel like the options aren't great. And I guess that leads me to. And on top of that, today the Patriots were exposed as pretenders. I was kind of allowing the Patriots to take up the other part of my brain where, it's like, well, maybe the Patriots have something interesting going here. I like Bailey Zappi but Mac Jones is going to come back. I'm like, well, if Mac Jones comes back and does well, that'll be good. If Zappi ends up taking the job and doing well, that'll be good too. But in the end, it was like they both stunk tonight, and the Patriots defense stunk, and it turns out the Patriots are not even a playoff team potentially. I was hoping they'd at least make the playoffs and give us something to root for, but they're not even a playoff team. They couldn't beat the Bears. If you can't beat the Bears, you're not to be taken seriously in the NFL. So that whole side element, that whole nice distraction that was taking me away from my reality, was totally wiped out tonight. The New England Patriots are not pretenders, and I don't even see a lot. I was really looking forward on Thanksgiving. The Patriots were going to play a game on Thanksgiving, and I was really looking forward to watching them play on Thanksgiving with my cousin. And now it's kind of like, who cares? That game doesn't matter anymore. We're not going anywhere. The Patriots aren't going anywhere. It's like we can watch the game, but it's just going to be kind of a waste of time. There'll be better things to do. So I had my cousin call today and asking what was going on, and I couldn't tell him anything. I went for a hike yesterday with my other cousin. That's all I had to say. There's really nothing, coming up. I mean, I'm practicing my foot pedal technique on this practice pad I got down here to try to learn how to drum, but I'm 42. When I'm going to be a great 45-year-old drummer, for a 50-year-old drummer, that's how long it'll take me for me to be a great drummer. I'm not really practicing regularly because who cares? Who cares about being a good drummer when you're 50? It's pointless. I'm not going to get the girls I want. I'm not going to make music that's going to change the world anymore. I don't know. You just get into this situation. It's like I just look forward, and it's like I woke up today with trying to stay positive. I knew it was a big blow that things were going to get weaker at work, and that I don't want to take this shift leader job because my cousin's coming, and I wanted to stay part time until January. Now I can't do that if I want to move up in this company, and like I said, moving up is not even something I want to do. But it's kind of like now that my hand's been forced, I'd have to potentially go back to working full time while my cousin's here. I was planning on spending a lot of time with my cousin, and won't even have that opportunity. I'm kissing goodbye all the vacation time I usually take, because you can't take as much vacation with this job. I didn't want this job now. I wanted this job next year. I could live with saying goodbye to my vacation time next year, but saying goodbye to my vacation time now is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to enjoy. The holidays are coming up. They're going to want whoever the shift leader is to be working most of the days in the holidays. I don't want to be working like crazy in the holidays. I want to see my family for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I don't want to be working every day. My working is like every day you get to work and you just want the day to be over, you know? Is that what life should be? Waiting for the day to be over? Be like, oh, you know, I tell all the customers, oh, we're, you know, doing well now because I've only got an hour left, you know? It's like, oh, well, yeah, it's early in the day. I look at the clock and be like, I can't believe I'm going to be here another 5 hours and it's going to be dark by the time I leave, you know? Just working, it's just, there's no joy in it, you know? It's just something that you're forced to go through and watch your life burn away, watch your dreams fade, you know? I never had a dream of being a grocery store middle manager, you know, even a store manager, you know, even if I got that far, it'd be so far down the road, I'd be 60 by the time I got the store manager job, and I'd be ready to retire 5 years later. How much money am I going to save up in 5 years? You know, it's just like the future's looking bleak. My dog is really old. You know, at some point, keep waiting for the day that he starts to run down and die. I love my dog. He's one of the few great things in my life, and he's just so old. It's not going to be much time, you know. If he makes it another year, it'll be a surprise. I mean, he's not showing any signs of being ill right now, but it's going to happen, you know. Time is coming near. Same with my parents. I mean, it's not as close to being true as my dog, but my dad's 73, my mom's in her late 60s, you know. Someday we'll find out and they'll have some kind of issue and they'll go to the doctor and they're going to have cancer, you know, or someone will have a heart attack, or, you know, and I'll have to watch them decline. I mean, it's just like, you know, all I see is bad things on the horizon. You get to a certain age and all the potential good things that you can expect just start to dwindle. You know, watching my dog die, watching my parents die, watching myself get older and more unattractive. You know, I'm in good shape now, but how long will I be able to stay in good shape? At a certain point, you just lose muscle mass over time. You get shorter, you get more wrinkled. You know, like I'm probably the best. I'm the best looking I'll be right now for, you know, forever. This is it. This is as good as I get right here. You know, it's not going to get any better than this. I might add a little more muscle, but you know, I already, for myself in my own mind, I look pretty good for a 42-year-old, and yet, you know, I have no confidence. I don't want to hit on women. I don't want to just, you know, hit on some random woman that I don't know and try to start up a relationship, especially given my background. You know, if women find out what my situation is, living at home, you know, never having slept with anyone at my age, you know, they're gonna be scared off. You know, I have to lie to people. I have to lie to a woman in order to get her in bed, and then they have to watch. I have to watch myself attempt to pretend to show them like I know what I'm doing in the bedroom, which I don't. I have no experience. I'm bound to be terrible at it. You know, I want to cry after it's over, even if it goes well, because if it goes well, I'll probably especially want to cry because I'll have missed opportunities to do that for most of my life, and I'll feel like I wasted my life. And if it goes badly, I'll be embarrassed and dejected because, you know, I've proved to myself I'm not a real man. You know, it's just kind of like, you know, all I see is bad outcomes from anything I can think of. You know, I'd like to have a relationship with a woman so I knew what it felt like to be loved by a woman for once in my life, you know. But, you know, knowing how women think about men, you know, if I was loved at all, it would be short-lived, and then I'd be dumped, you know. In all likelihood, I'd be getting dumped because aside from my looks, I don't have a lot to offer to girls, you know. I mean, I can offer other things that are not generally valued by women as much as other things. You know, women value strength and power and status and, you know, money and also looks. You know, I've got some looks, but I don't look great. I look okay. Obviously, look at this hair situation's garbage. Um, I can shave my head, but that's all I got is looks. You know, so I probably have girls around me that are, you know, would like me to say something, I'm sure, you know, that are interested, but I don't want to hit on them because, you know, I only see things ending in disaster. I can't imagine a scenario where things got better and better, you know. I can't imagine a scenario where I could be satisfied with a mediocre woman. You know, that's the reality of life, is that you end up having to be satisfied with mediocrity all the time, because we have this idealized version of how things are going to work out, and it never works out anywhere close to that. And so you get mediocrity, and you have to kind of appreciate the mediocrity. But it's like, why do anything if it's all going to be mediocre? I could stay single forever. I'll never have the experience of love, but I'll have a mediocre version of that instead of a mediocre relationship. You know, it's going to be the, the bottom line is going to end up being mediocrity in the long run, regardless of what I do. And worse than mediocrity, it'll be mediocrity plus loss as you get older. You know, everyone dying, becoming more isolated. You know, that's why you have all these people alone. Have Meals on Wheels come to visit them because nobody wants to see them anymore. You know, the future is bleak. It's just bleak. You get older, and it's like all the opportunities and all the excitement of youth evaporate. And then it's just a matter of like trying to keep your head and trying to stay positive while your world comes crashing down around you, one element at a time. And I feel like watching this, you know, watching the Patriots lose, there goes my, you know, getting to root for the greatest franchise of all time. Obviously, I just feel like a bandwagoner fan. I said, oh yeah, I'll stick with the team after Brady's gone, and I did. You know, I was excited about the potential for us to do something, but it seems like we're floundering. Team's not getting anywhere. You know, who knows if we'll ever win another Super Bowl? Could be at the rate we're going. It might never happen. Belichick could be gone before they'll win another Super Bowl, and you know, not like that even matters. You know, being a fan of one of the greatest football team of all time was fun for a while. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't really bring any real deep joy. I don't think there's anything that can bring me deep joy at this point. You know, I have all these women that probably would like me to hit on them, and you know, most of them are older. You know, they're probably 35 and up generally. I'm not even interested in being with a 35 and up girl because I'm bitter about never getting with the 20-year-old ones. You know, I don't even want a girl in her 30s or 40s. I mean, I do. They're still pretty. Don't get me wrong. There was a good woman that came in who said she was 44, and she's pretty for a 44-year-old. I mean, she wouldn't be pretty for long if I got with her. She's pretty now. You know, I could have a fling with a woman close to my age that would be still somewhat attractive, but you know, then I'm just admitting defeat. You know, I made a bet in my mind that if I was good, if I was a good person, if I did the right thing, that I would be rewarded for it. And I haven't been rewarded for that at all. There is no reward for being a good person. You know, the world is truly a justice. There's no justice in the world, you know. And it makes me also think about the other part of this video I wanted to say is it makes me think about, you know, reasons to believe in God. It's kind of like, you know, the people that have true faith are the ones that believe in God when it becomes clear that God has left you out of the spotlight. You know, God has made you a supporting cast character. You're an extra in the film of God's favorites. You know, who's God's favorites? You know, Steph Curry. Steph Curry is one of God's favorites. Born to a basketball dad, given a magical shooting touch, the greatest shooter of all time. Steph Curry is one of the stars in God's show, and the rest of us are just extras. You know, how are we supposed to keep the faith in a God that has us being extras at best? You know, if we even make it into the shot at all, we might just be, you know, background chatter. That's how I feel. I guess I'll give credit to those people who can maintain their faith in God when it's become clear that they are an afterthought in life's show, I guess you could say, in the show of life, because you know, it's like I understand the need for the background. You know, you need those extras to make a scene. You know, just like you look in the fall and you've got all these beautiful red maples, And the red maples are the star of the fall. They light up the landscape. You look at them, you'll see the way the sun hits them, and it's just, it's incredible. The red maples, that is one of God's great works of art, or whatever, the universe's great works of art, is the maple trees in the fall. They are gorgeous. I guess, I appreciate that, but, in order for the maple to stand out, it's got to be surrounded by other trees. Some of them are green, some of them are brown, some of them are yellow. And the yellows aren't as spectacular. The oranges are pretty spectacular. The reds are the real star. The oranges is like the co-star. The yellow is sort of like the character actors, and then you've got the green, which is like the background. So the real star is the red maple. Everybody wants to see the red maple. You go ooh and ah for the red maple. You don't go ooh and ah for the green in the background, even though you need it for that contrast. So here we are, the character or the extras in the background, setting the scene. We serve our purpose. The extras, we create an atmosphere, a mood, but we're creating that atmosphere for the stars and for God, not for us. We're the fodder for the rest of it. And, yeah, you need those things. You need that fodder to make the whole scene happen. But it's no fun being the fodder. It's no fun being the part that doesn't matter in the big story. It's no fun having the non-speaking role. And that's what I feel like. I'm that green tree in the background that's offering, contrast to the amazing red maple. That's what God wants from me. It's amazing, anyone who can keep the faith with that in mind. It's kind of like they say, that your reward, supposedly in Christianity, for being a good soul or for not sinning or whatever, is that you get to live with God eternally. But who wants to live with a God eternally that, that chose you to be a nobody, made you out to be an unimportant player, made you out to be, a barely a whisper in the grand scheme of things. It's I don't know. Is it better to not exist, or is it better to exist with God as a bit player? I don't know. It's kind of like it would seem annoying to have to spend the rest of eternity with a great being that didn't think you were worth having a speaking role or a meaningful role or have any impact on anything. I don't know. I mean, I wonder. Really, most of the time, I live in a way that's more principled because more out of pot commitment than anything. In poker. I don't know if you know the concept of being pot committed, but basically, if you have a hand that you like and you put a bunch of money down on it, and the other person keeps raising you back, at a certain point, you may not know that you have the best hand anymore, but at the same time, you've got to kind of stick with it because it's hard to accept that you've already put so much money into a losing proposition. And that's where I'm at in terms of my godliness. Would I like to just try to screw random girls just to have the experience of doing it once, or at least to have a relationship once? Yeah, I guess. I'm so committed to finding that perfect girl and not sleeping around and being responsible. That's what I always wanted. I wanted to find, I always thought by being good, God would bring the right girl to me and everything would work out. But, I'm past the point where that can happen. The right girl for me was in her 20s. The right girl for me was a girl I was going to be able to appreciate the beauty of for more than just, a few years. Now, the right girl for me, if there was one, is close to being infertile. Won't look good for very long. Probably wants me to either have kids or earn more money than I do. Is not going to be. Women in their late 30s and 40s are not going to be satisfied with a guy who's working as a cashier at the grocery store. You know, they have higher expectations the older they get. Um, you know, I mean, whoever I was with would just be, at this point, all I've got left is a fling with a girl who I'm not particularly excited about being with. You know, that's what I could be trying for right now. That's realistic. You know, it doesn't drive me. You know, it doesn't make me feel motivated. You know, I'm not thrilled about, you know, my options at this point. And, you know, I like to believe, you know, some part of me still wants to hold out. Well, maybe perfection can still happen somehow. Maybe somehow, you know, against all odds, things will still work out. But, you know, I see things getting worse, you know. And it's one little tiny thing at a time. And right now, that thing is, you know, watching the last pretty girl leave my workplace, watching my favorite sports team, um, you know, showing no signs of any hope for the future. And the third thing today, which was that I couldn't control my eating today. I went off. I was supposed to be a good day, but I binged ate all day, and that's basically what I did today. I binged ate. I'm working out now, so I'm trying to do something about it, but I'm taking 41 minutes to make this video instead of completing my workouts. That's not helping. So I am going to wrap this up, but it's kind of like, you know, I'm pot committed to this idea of still, you know, trying to be the best person I can be, and hoping that I'll find a woman who will appreciate me for me, and a woman that's not, you know, as old as I am, but that's just, you know, even if I found a girl who was young and appreciated me for who I was, there would still be lots of issues with the age gap. You know, the age gap at this point is great enough that, you know, the chances of me finding a successful relationship with a young girl who finds me attractive, you know, that'll work over any kind of long-term period is next to nothing. You know, there's very little chance. Especially since I don't want to go out and look for it. You know, I always wanted it to come to me. I thought, you know, I wanted to believe that God was going to bring that to me for my good behavior. But now it just feels like all my good behavior is purely, you know, uh, was purely just for its own sake. You know, and I guess, you know, I mean, being good, I suppose, is a good thing for the world, but it's not so good for you. You know, I want to be good. I want to continue to be good. I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to sleep with women and move on and be uncaring. You know, I don't want to stop caring about working for um, something that I sort of believe in. I don't want to go make a money grab, go into tech, and or, you know, become a pilot and start burning gasoline or burning jet fuel like crazy. You know, I don't want to do any of those things. You know, I don't want to sell out on all my beliefs because, well, I better get mine before the next guy gets theirs. But it's like, you know, that's the option that the universe is leaving me at this point. It's like, you know, either stop caring about being a good person, get yours, you know, get yours before someone else does, or, you know, continue to be a nice guy, and with the knowledge that it's done you no favors, it will continue to do you no favors. Your life will be boring. Um, you know, people won't appreciate you for what won't appreciate that you care. You know, they won't appreciate that you are trying for those ethical reasons. You know, you're doing it for yourself and for your own principles, and there's no reward for it. You know, the reward is in itself, and you know, there's it feels like you'd think that I would get some joy out of living a life where I feel like I'm not a dick. You know, where I'm trying to do the right thing by the world. I'm trying to do the right thing by my principles. I'm trying to do the right thing by what I thought, you know, the universe, or at one point I thought God, you know, wanted me to do. But it all feels like a lie. It all just feels like a lie I told myself to try to feel better, feel like maybe there was a chance that there could be some justice in this world, you know, to feel like, you know, that there was a reason to be good, and that good would win out over evil in the long run. But there's no indication of that. It just seems like things are happening. You know, if you want to make something happen, that you've got to make it happen regardless of the consequences, and those consequences can be ugly. But But that's it. You know, you either make it happen or you don't, and there's consequences for not making it happen. You know, boredom and disillusionment and sadness. So yeah, it's rough. You know, I don't know. I don't know what to try for anymore. I keep trying to take a positive attitude, and I do go through mood swings. I get really down, like I am now, and then I'll get up and feel like, oh, things aren't so bad. You know, things are good. But it's kind of like at least I have the upswings. You know, I do have mood swings, and the upswings things are bearable, and I feel okay. But I'm in a downswing now, and you know, even in my upswings, I feel like I'm lying to myself a lot of the time when you know nothing is going in the right direction. It's pretty sad right now.